Marhaba, and welcome to the Matrix Green Pill, where real people connect.
Hello, and welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. I am Namita Thakkar, and today I am so happy to have Waleed Anwar as my guest on the show. Waleed is the founder of Upfront HR. He's a headhunter specializing in HR and recruitment in the region. He's got vast experience in business and the recruitment industry across the Middle East and Europe. Waleed, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
Great, doing wonderful. How are you?
Lovely to speak to you, Namita. Yeah, great. Thanks. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast.
Thank you so much. Okay, Waleed, so let's get right into it. As a start, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
As you said, I am a recruiter by trade. This is my job. I've been in recruitment for now almost 20 years or so, both in the Middle East and Europe. Before this, I worked in the UK. I have worked mainly on the agency side. So that means for recruitment agencies, helping clients to source the right talent and find the right people for their companies. And without going into too much detail, initially I started, let's say, around 2007, where I was working on a short-term project. And by chance, I was recommended for a recruitment role within an agency, which I took. And that was the start of my journey around that time. And since then, I haven't really looked back. I worked for two of the biggest multinationals globally, firstly in the UK, and then moved over here to work in Dubai. And in 2016, I was freelancing and consulting as a recruiter, helping businesses to streamline and improve their internal processes. That's recruitment agencies to help them internally set up good recruitment teams, good processes, and build a good client base. And in 2019, I set up my own business, which is Upfront HR. And that is a recruitment agency working in the Middle East.
Okay, great. But how did you plan on starting or coming up with your own recruitment firm?
To be honest, it was something that I kind of, I would say, didn't intend to do after I left my last full-time job. In 2016, I was kind of like, I had 6 years of working in Dubai. I came to Dubai in 2011, and I was with one company, which was quite rare at the time for recruiters. Recruiters tend to change companies quite a lot, or quite regularly, shall we say. So I stayed with the same company for 6 years. And once I decided to leave and move on, I was kind of in between things. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to go back into a full-time role or take a break. The plan was to take a break, really. And I bumped into a friend who's like, I have my own recruitment company, or I set up my own business. And why don't you come and help me? And I was like, okay, this sounds great, because I get the kind of flexibility. And I got into that role where I helped him to set up his company, hiring people, putting processes in place, coming from a multinational background, working for a multinational recruitment company. I felt like my experience would really complement what he was trying to do to kind of bring it to a smaller boutique agency at the time. So I helped him with that, hiring the right talent, putting processes in place, establishing a good client base, attracting new business, branding the business, generally just bringing in good revenues for him. And I ended up doing that from initially where it was agreed for 1 year. I kind of did that for 3 years. And eventually there was a conversation between me and him where he wanted me to come in and full time with him. But at that moment, it was like, why do I not just do my own thing? The conversation kind of started then. And that's why I decided to set up Upfront HR, really. That's how I ended up setting up my own business.
Okay, and your company's slogan is very interesting, putting people first.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about the message you're aiming to share?
It's literally what it says, putting people first. I think with recruitment, it's such a highly transactional business. When you're working, just like typically any other service sales environment, you're more focused on the end result and actually getting the numbers on the board. For me, what I've learned over the years working in the region is that recruitment and business in general in this region is done on relationship basis, face-to-face basis. Let's have a coffee, let's meet up for lunch, and you build relationships. I mean, some of my best clients are people that I've known for many years, and they work with me, not the company, if that makes any sense.
Right, of course, yeah.
They buy into people. So for me, that was kind of a big thing I wanted to focus on. Was like, the more I got promoted in previous roles in my previous companies, I felt like I was losing that element of being able to keep in touch with my clients and my candidates on a personal level. There was more focus on me to deliver results and my teams to deliver the results. So when I went on the freelance basis, what I tried to do is to focus mainly on people relationships on the people themselves that I'm dealing with, both clients and candidates, and move away from being transactional to more on the personal level, and really making my focus and any team that I will build around myself and my company, the people, making people more successful, the people that we deal with, both clients and candidates, to make them even more successful than us and focus on their successes rather than our own. And that's how you get to know the people behind and build personal relationships with them and improving their experience in dealing with a recruiter, both again on the candidate and the client side, by giving them regular contact, staying in touch with them, meeting in person or virtually whenever you can, giving them regular updates, sharing information and keeping that personal touch. This is where kind of I wanted my company to give this message of putting people first. It's more about people. We want to make our candidates and our clients as successful as we can by helping bringing them together.
Okay, so in the last 1 year, Waleed, what are some key changes you have witnessed in the hiring trends across industries?
Recruitment is a constantly evolving business. Over the years, I've seen so many things change. But I mean, more recently, I think it's quite a common thing. And I think you find anybody whether they're recruiters or not, would agree that hybrid working, flexible working is a trend at the moment, both for our clients and for us. I mean, for our company, for example, flexible working is the main reason, I guess, for the success so far, because we give people the flexibility to work from home, work remotely, and that really allows us to attract the best talent to our business that would appreciate this flexibility. Some people may prefer to be in the office all the time, and that's fine. But I think hybrid working is the way forward now. It's something that many people are seeking in their jobs and employments. Another trend that's quite common is technology, AI-based solutions. Over the last 3 years since the pandemic, we've seen a huge digital transformation. The tech solutions, although they've been around for many years before, nowadays there is a huge kind of focus on them, especially from the client side. We've seen a lot of employers utilizing these tools to improve their online application process. So it's making it easier for their candidates to apply for jobs by just one click. From a recruiter side as well, from an agency side, so tech solutions are definitely at the forefront of the trend patterns. Softwares that allow us to match candidates quicker, to prepare the CVs for our clients quicker, are really something that is quite trending at the moment.
And in your opinion, how can job seekers make a recruiter's life easier?
I think it goes both ways, but I think from a job seeker's perspective, and this is something that I'm very passionate about, is when candidates are applying for jobs. I understand as a recruiter, I'm not going to speak for every recruiter, but I understand that people are looking for work and some people may need jobs more than others. What they tend to do is they just apply for jobs, right? They just fire away their CVs online to any job or anything that they see advertised. I would urge and really, really kind of encourage job seekers to just read the job description. Make sure that you match at least 80 to 90% of the application before you kind of apply. You'll be surprised, and I mentioned this before and I got a lot of stick for it, but the number of people that apply for a job just because they feel like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
So you will get I don't know, again, I don't want to pick on any particular industries, but for example, a sales guy applying for, let's say, a logistics job where they don't actually have the relevant skills.
Yeah. I think it's just the desperation sometimes. Yeah.
For sure. And that's really kind of where it comes from. And I think what you do then is you devalue yourself and you're automatically kind of eliminated. Again, going back to the AI tools, they're very clever nowadays where they just you're not shortlisted. And then that builds a frustration from your side as a job seeker.
Absolutely.
Why am I not getting responses? You start saying, oh, recruiters are very bad. They don't respond to people. But I think if a job seeker takes the time to make sure they match the requirements, at least 80 to 90%, there are some transferable skills from job to job, I agree. But, there is the bulk requirement has to be the same and then apply. And that would make my job as a recruiter easier because then I can, I receive the right CV and I'm able to kind of completely come back to you and give you full feedback and really give you good direction from there.
Absolutely. Completely agree there. So here's a bit of a twist for you. How can recruiters make the lives of job seekers easier?
How can recruiters make job seekers' life easier? I think it's important to share information. I think that's the easiest thing to do. You see it online, you see it on LinkedIn, you see it on websites. Many people complain about it is nobody gets back to me. I've applied. Recruiters are just a waste of time. And that's a common thing. And it's such a shame because there are some really good recruiters out there that take the time to connect with their candidates and give real good feedback. It's not possible to speak to everyone individually. What happens is if you applied for the position and I've been in touch with you as a recruiter or we put you forward to a job interview, it's so important for us to come back to you and give you the feedback. This is going back to putting people first, giving them information, treat people as individuals rather than just a candidate on a CV. So giving information back to your candidates as a recruiter is the number one priority for me. Honestly, I would say to anybody I've worked with, it doesn't matter what you're doing, what deadlines you have, you need to give your candidates feedback and vice versa as well with clients as well.
Absolutely. Well said. Yeah. What is the funniest experience you've had with a candidate or a client?
To be honest, I couldn't really, trying to think actually, I was thinking about it. I think the funniest thing would be, it's not funny like hilarious, funny where you're laughing out loud. But I think the funniest thing, and I've always experienced this throughout my career, is that when candidates go for interviews and you've got two kind of type of feedbacks generally that come back from candidates. The ones that say, oh my God, it was amazing. I think they love me. I did a great job. And you're like, okay, great. Tell me more. And they're really super amped up about this. And then you got the other type of candidate where they come out and they say, oh, I'm not sure. I think I did okay, but I'm not really sure. And they're very kind of downbeat. And in my experience, it's always the opposite. The people that go in, the candidates that go in, and I don't know why that is. Again, this is maybe a bit of a wide generalization, but majority of the time, it's always the opposite. The guys that go in first and they say, hey, it was amazing. I loved it so much. And they tend to be the guys, I'll call the client and they say, well, we're not sure about him or her. It'll be a complete opposite feedback. And the opposite is true. The guys that come out and they say, I'm not sure, they tend to kind of be the ones that the client will say, wow, what an amazing person. Now, I don't know what happens in that process to give both that kind of feeling, but that's always something that I found quite funny that tends to happen quite often.
Great observation. Okay. So, what is one piece of advice you would like to give to job seekers in the UAE?
I think job seekers is such a competitive market, the UAE in general and Dubai specifically, there's so much talent available locally and also externally from overseas, people wanting to come into Dubai to work in the UAE, such a competitive market. I think being patient is the number one advice, when applying for jobs, having an actual job search plan. This is something that I'm a big fan of. I mean, it's not easy to find a job. But what I always say, and I think a lot of people would agree, that searching for work or finding a job is a full-time job itself, especially when you're not working. So it's important to, have a plan in place, where you kind of have a schedule of right in the morning from 9 o'clock, I'm going to clock into my job search routine. I'm going to apply for 10 job applications. I'm going to read them thoroughly, make sure I match them, apply for the jobs, maybe take a break and then come back later and follow up on the previous days applications by connecting with the right people in that company and, finding out who's responsible for this advert of jobs and connecting with that person and following up on your application and being persistent and being patient because it does pay off when you have dedicated the time to actually finding the right jobs.
So, with that, we have come to a fun segment of our show, which we call it like rapid fire. That's our version of a game show. So, we're just going to ask you about 3 or 4 rapid fire questions. And of course, the name says it all. You got to answer the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready for it?
Okay.
So, here we go. Your go-to comfort food.
I don't know why pizza comes to mind. It's not, but I would like to say pizza. I think pizza is cool. Yeah, why not?
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Your favorite book or quote.
Actually, yesterday, someone said it. I don't know if could mean anything to anybody, but someone said money is energy.
Okay.
And I don't know why I thought that's interesting. I've never heard that before. But then when the guy was explaining, I was watching a documentary and the way he explained it made so much sense. It's for you to be successful, your energy attracts money.
Yeah, that's true.
The kind of energy you project, it attracts the kind of money that you should earn. So I kind of like that. Don't want to sound materialist. Kind of stuck with me yesterday when I heard it. Money is energy, which just made sense to me.
That's quite true. Yes, absolutely. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would that be?
At the moment, Dubai, definitely. I'm biased. I've been here for almost 12 years. I love the city. It's home for me and my family. Great place to find opportunity. The lifestyle is amazing. If you have the right, setup and the right job and the right support system, there's nowhere else to be in the world but this place.
Awesome. Okay. What is success for you?
Success is happiness and being content in what you do. That's important. It could be measured in many different aspects, but if you're happy in what you're doing, then I think you're successful. Because at the end of the day, if you're unhappy, it means that something's not working and you need to redo it. And failure is okay, but you need to kind of redo what you do. But for me, success is being happy and content with what you do.
Well said. So before we wrap up, we would like to ask you about your green pill moment. If you took the green pill to go back in time and change one thing about your journey, what would that be?
Honestly speaking, I don't want to say wish, but in hindsight, knowing what I know now, I wish I set up my business maybe as soon as I left my full-time job or even sooner. It's the best thing I've done in terms of my career. It has taught me so much to set up my own business. It's given me, the flexibility to build something according to my vision and really kind of have something that drives me every day and gives me the motivation to work harder. It's one of the best things I've done. Many challenges, it's not easy, but it's something that I would definitely do a lot sooner than what I did if I can go back in time.
Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing such insightful inputs and tips with us today. I'm sure our audience will enjoy this conversation as much as I have. But before we say goodbye, can you just tell our listeners where they can find and follow you?
The company's Upfront HR. We are recruitment HR specialists. You can find us on our website, which is upfronthr.com. We have a LinkedIn page, which is Upfront HR. Social media at the moment with Instagram and Facebook is Upfront HR too. So it's the same handle for all of our social media, including LinkedIn, and the website, which is upfronthr.com.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you again for joining us today. And we wish you all the very best, Waleed.
Thank you so much for having me, Namita. Really good to speak to you.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.